Once upon a time, there were 9 cats called Poppy, Molly, Daisy, Millie, Milo, Monty, Charlotte, Stella and Tiger. Today they were playing in a meadow close to their house. The sun was shining and they were enjoying feeling the warmth from it. Suddenly, Poppy stopped and said in a shocked voice, "Look, there's mist rising from the ground over there." Everyone looked to see to where she was pointing, and they couldn't see their house anymore because the mist was so thick. Molly exclaimed, "What is that?" She ran towards it, and before she knew it, she was in and nowhere to be seen by the rest of the cats. Everyone shouted, "Molly!" but there was no reply. Milo piped up, "Do you think she's maybe slipped and bumped her head and fallen unconscious? I'll look behind the mist and see if she's there." Milo ran over and disappeared into the mist. "Milo!" shouted Charlotte, but there was no reply. "Right, everyone," said Monty. "Something is wrong here. We need to go towards the mist and find our friends." Everyone agreed, and they all held paws and ran into the mist. They now found themselves in a big, clear, icy kind of bag. "What is this?" exclaimed Tiger. "It's so cold, it's making me shiver." His teeth were chattering with the extreme cold. Do your teeth sometimes chatter when it's cold? And it's been very icy recently, hasn't it? Shall we continue? "It's like some sort of icy bubble," said Monty. "We seem to be dropping. Look, I can see Milo and Molly on that fluffy white stuff." The bubble came down and bounced a couple of times on the white ground before stopping. "Where on earth are we?" asked Tiger. Molly and Milo had joined them now. "I think we're in the Arctic," said Monty. "I've seen it on the television." The next thing they saw were 3 strange-looking animals waddling towards them. They had white bodies, black heads and black sort of wings. "Hello," said the front one. "Who are you?" Tiger introduced everyone and said, "We are cats. We came from the meadow when the mist came." The black and white animals tilted their head to one side, not quite understanding. Have you guessed what the animals are? That's right, they're penguins. The baby penguin piped up, "Would you like to play? We're penguins, by the way." Everyone looked interested, and Charlotte asked, "What kind of games do you play?" Do you like playing games too? Yes, I bet you do. Let's continue. "We slide," said the little penguin, and with that it got on its tummy and slid across the snow, shouting, "Whee!" This looked so much fun, so all the cats joined in. They slid on their backs, they slid on their fronts, they slid on each other until they were exhausted. In fact, they had moved around so much they were feeling warm again. "This has been so much fun," said Tiger. "Thank you for spending this time with us." What a lot of fun they had. "We had fun too, but we must be going now," said one of the older penguins. "We're only visiting and have a long journey home." "I hope we see the colours in the sky before we leave," piped up baby penguin excitedly. They all said goodbye and the penguins moved on. They were now standing, wondering what would happen next in this big white world, when Monty noticed huge footprints in the snow. "What on earth has made these?" asked Millie. "Something quite large has been here," said Monty. "Let's follow the footprints, but please be quiet in case they hear us." Everyone followed behind him, stepping as quietly as they could in the crunchy white snow. Soon they saw what had caused the footprints. Just ahead was a beautiful white bear with her baby cub. "These are called polar bears," whispered Monty. "I saw them on television." The mummy bear was teaching the baby bear how to catch some fish. The baby bear was excited and clapping its paws. "How cute!" exclaimed Stella, then said, "Oops!" Mummy bear and baby bear swung round and looked shocked to see the group of cats watching them. Mummy bear said, "How long have you creatures been here?" "Only around a minute," said Monty. "Please don't harm us. We came from the mist." Baby bear replied, "My mummy won't hurt you. She's great fun. Watch this." He jumped on Mummy bear's back. Mummy bear began to run back and forth and round in circles on the snow. Baby bear shrieked with laughter. "If you want a shot, climb on before I become exhausted," laughed Mummy bear. The cats couldn't resist and did as she said. Mummy bear ran through the snow while they held on tightly, and the snow was kicking high up into the air from her big paws. Everyone was shrieking with laughter, and Mummy bear finally slowed down, panting heavily. She lay on the ground to let everyone climb off. "Thank you so much," laughed Daisy. "That was so much fun." "You're welcome," said Mummy bear. "My little child has loved your company. It's usually just us." Baby bear tugged at his mum. "Let's go fishing again. Please, please." Mummy bear nodded, and with that they all said their goodbyes, and Mummy and Baby bear walked off. As the cats walked a little further on again, they could see something bobbing around in the distance. When they got closer, Monty said, "That's a walrus." The animal came towards them, sliding its big flippers to move across the snow. Molly ran towards the walrus, but Millie shouted, "Stop! You don't know if it's friendly yet. Look at those big tusks." "Don't worry, I won't harm you," said the walrus. "What kind of animal are you anyway?" Tiger said, "We're all cats, if you didn't know." "Good, good," said the walrus. "I see you have nice nails. Can you give me a tickle, please? I so love a tickle. Do you like being tickled too?" Daisy piped up, "We can't trust you yet." The walrus flopped over on his back and said, "Can you trust me better now?" and gave a huge laugh. His laugh was so infectious it made the cats laugh too. Tiger and Stelly shouted, "Yippee!" They jumped on first and said, "This feels like a big, wobbly, bouncy castle." And look at them, yippee, they're saying as they bounce on his tummy. The rest of the cats looked at each other and all jumped on together and started tickling and having lots and lots of fun because the walrus was laughing so much he was making them bounce. Tiger said, "I'm starting to get tired now. I'm coming down, Monty." Monty stood and caught him. Everyone else came down too, one by one, because they were tired also. The walrus said, "Everyone out the way." They all stood back and watched him roll back over onto his tummy. That was brilliant. I haven't had such a laugh in a long time. Poppy said, "We had lots of fun too with you, walrus, but we better get going before it gets dark. We have to find the mist again to get home." What a wonderful adventure the cats are having. Isn't it fun? Everyone said their goodbyes and all the cats walked on further. It was starting to get dark now and they were worried that the mist was never going to come back again. They just kept walking, hoping something good would happen. They started to see an ice structure up ahead. Monty said, "I think that might be some sort of igloo. I think I saw them on the television." "What's an igloo?" asked Molly. "It's a house made from ice and people live in them," said Monty. "Do you know the name of the people who live in igloos?" "You tell me later, yes?" All the cats looked shocked at this, and Monty said, "Come on, let's see if there's anybody home." They walked closer, and as they approached they saw a little man. Molly said, "Who is he?" Monty replied, "He must live in the igloo. Let's see if he can help us home." They all walked up behind Monty. He said to the man, "We arrived here in a mist and we feel lost and we don't know how to get home." The man looked at them. "I do know what you're talking about and I may be able to help, but you're in time to see a spectacular sight soon. Please sit and have a little lunch with me while we wait." The cats accepted this offer and thought the little man was a bit strange, as he hadn't been surprised about what he had heard. He cooked some fish that he'd caught and they tucked in heartily, and they were all very hungry by now, and cats love fish. A short while later the man pointed to the sky and said, "Look!" The cats looked up and saw a multicoloured sky filled with red, green, blue, pink and yellow. The colours swayed all over the night sky. The cats stood in awe at this sight. Wow! This is called the Aurora Borealis, and it's one of the most beautiful sights on this earth, said the man. Tiger said, "Wow, this is amazing." The rest of the cats agreed. They looked at the man and saw he was standing with a bottle. "I can help you to go back now. Are you ready?" Poppy said, "Yes, I think we are. Thank you so much for letting us see this." The man nodded and smiled and opened the bottle, and the mist poured out. The cats held paws and walked into the mist. The next thing they knew, they were in an icy bubble bag again, and it was dropping. They looked back and saw the penguins, the polar bears, the walrus, and the little man waving to them. They waved back, and the figures all faded. They're saying goodbye to all the friends they made. When they turned round, the bubble was nearly on the ground. They had started to feel warmer and were getting prepared for the bob, bob, bob as it touched the ground. They stepped out of the bubble and it melted away instantly. Tiger said, "That was really fun." Millie said, "I had no idea these animals even existed before." "And that light in the sky was fantastic," said Milo. "What an amazing day," cried Daisy. Molly said, "I enjoyed every single part of it, apart from the bit when I got into an icy bubble on my own." "Yes, that would be scary," said Stella. "Thank goodness you have such good friends who would never leave you on your own." Everyone hugged and headed back to their own garden. Once upon a time, the 9 cats, Poppy, Molly, Daisy, Millie, Milo, Monty, Charlotte, Stella and Tiger all decided that they were heading to the beach. They were very excited and brought along some toys between them to play with. Monty and Milo carried their big boat for everyone to sail on the water. Molly carried some snacks for everyone in her backpack. Millie had some towels in her little wheeled trolley. The towels would come in handy if they got wet at the beach. Tiger brought a bucket and spade. They were all looking forward to a lovely day. Tiger was singing songs and cheering all the way to the beach. It was his favourite place to go. Stella wanted to sit down and have a snack on the way. Being easily persuaded, they all agreed to this wonderful idea. They walked to the biggest bench they could find and began to tuck in. Tiger and Stella played a game of count the colours of the cars passing by. Have you ever played that game? And you can see in the picture they're counting blue, green. A short while later, Poppy said, "Come on everyone, it's time to start going again or we'll never get to the beach and we need to keep some food for later too." Everyone agreed and picked up their things and started walking again. A little while later, they arrived at the beach, which looked so lovely and the sea was so blue. Tiger ran down ahead of everyone else and got his bucket and spade out. "This is going to be the biggest sandcastle ever," he declared. Monty and Milo, whilst going down the steps, accidentally dropped the boat in the water. Milo started to run quickly down the steps, but slid into the water. Thankfully, he was a good, strong swimmer and was able to push the boat back to shore, while Monty helped him pull it up back towards the beach. "Phew!" Milo gasped. "I thought the boat was going to float off there." And he and Monty had a little chuckle. Poppy, Molly, Daisy, Millie, Charlotte and Stella had been busy sorting out the picnic and shouted over, "Be careful, boys!" Daisy accidentally dropped her sandwiches, which got covered in sand. This made Daisy go into one of her crying fits. Molly made her feel better by sharing her food with her. Tiger had made a huge sandcastle, and Monty was amazed. He walked over to admire it, but tripped on a bit of wood on the beach and fell into it, crushing it into pieces. Tiger stared and felt devastated. Stella came over and said, "What's wrong with you, Tiger?" Tiger couldn't speak. He was so upset. Monty said sadly, "I've tripped and fallen into his sandcastle and totally spoiled it. I feel so bad." Millie came over with a piece of chocolate for Tiger. "This will cheer you up, won't it, Tiger?" Tiger took the chocolate and said, "Yes, I suppose the sandcastle would only have lasted until the tide came back in any way." A little while later, when Tiger had calmed down, Milo suggested they should take a little trip out on the boat. "Great idea!" exclaimed everyone, apart from Poppy and Molly, who both realised that not everyone could get out on the boat at the same time. "We'll stay here and get the picnic ready for you all coming back," said Poppy. Molly nodded in agreement. "You're right," said Milo. "We'll have our yummy picnic when we get back." And with that, they all launched the boat into the water and jumped in. Can you see them all in the water? They're enjoying the boat ride, aren't they? And what's the name on the boat? 9 Cats. Once they were all in the boat, they saw a little island quite nearby. Charlotte begged, "Can we go over there?" Milo nodded, and everyone started to use their arms and paws to steer the boat towards the island. They all thought this was brilliant fun. It would all have been perfect if everybody had been able to work in a good team together, but unfortunately, Millie could not get her arms to work as well as the others, and she started to move them in all directions. This made the boat wobble. It got so bad that Stella fell over the side and clung onto the edge before losing her grip and falling into the water. "Stop rowing," Monty told everyone. "This water is freezing," screamed Stella as the tide started to float her away from the boat. Milo could see this was turning into a dangerous situation, and he jumped into the sea as he was a strong swimmer. Daisy, Millie and Charlotte shouted, "What are you doing, Milo?" Milo replied, "I am a strong swimmer and I will swim over and get Stella to hold on to me, and I want you 3 to help her get back on the boat when I come over." Milo and the girls did exactly that, and Milo pulled himself back onto the boat. "You're a hero, Milo. Everyone gave him 3 cheers. Hip, hip, hooray! Stella said, "Can we just head back now, please?" Everyone started to paddle the boat with their arms and paws and told Millie if she didn't mind, could she please not do it. When they eventually got back to the beach, Poppy and Molly were standing with towels to wrap Stella and Milo in. "We felt so helpless and worried watching that from a distance. Thank goodness you're okay." Everyone was standing in a group talking about what had just happened and didn't notice that Tiger had walked off. When they eventually turned round, they saw that he had started doing something very interesting. Milo and Monty realised what it was and ran over to help. Everyone else stood watching what they were doing, and a short while later the 3 boys stood back and said, "Ta-da!" They had made a sand boat instead of a sand castle. "Come on everyone, jump in and bring the picnic." Everyone gasped in delight and did just that. Look, they made a sand boat, enough room for everybody. That's very clever, isn't it? They had a lovely time in their boat by the sea, eating their picnic. Stella said, "It's a bit drier in this boat. I think I like it better." "Thank goodness you brought those clean towels, Millie." Everyone laughed. Daisy said, "It's turned out to be a great day after all." An hour or so later, Monty said, "The tide! Look, it's coming in. We better move." So Millie and Charlotte started packing everything away. Monty and Milo started carrying the boat up to the grass beside the path. Once they were all off the beach, Tiger looked back. "See, just as I said earlier." He was pointing to where they had been sitting in the sand boat. It wasn't there anymore. It was covered with the sea. The friends all smiled. What a lovely day they'd all had. Tiger suggested they stop on the bench on the way home again to do the count the colour of the cars game for a little while. And that is what they did. Once upon a time there were 9 cats called Poppy, Molly, Daisy, Millie, Milo, Monty, Charlotte, Stella and Tiger. Today they were enjoying a lovely day out in the Highlands of Scotland with their humans. Molly and Milo were having fun throwing small stones into a loch and watching the shapes as they hit the water. Everyone else was sitting ready to tuck into a yummy picnic. Do you enjoy picnics? Charlotte called over for Molly and Milo to join them before all the food was finished. The cats were chatting, eating and listening to Monty, telling them facts about Loch Ness, the water they were sitting beside. Monty stopped suddenly. "Did anybody hear that?" "Hear what?" asked Daisy. Everyone stopped to listen, but couldn't hear anything. "I thought I heard a strange sound," said Monty. "I didn't hear anything," replied Stella. All the cats agreed with Stella. "Okay," said Monty and carried on talking. A short while later, Poppy exclaimed, "I think I heard it too just now." What do you think they could hear? They all turned round to look at the loch. The water was rippling towards the shore. "Do you think something in there is moving that water?" asked Tiger nervously. "No," said Daisy. "There are boats going up that loch all the time. That will be all it is." "Maybe someone else is throwing stones in the water like we did," suggested Milo. Just then they heard psst. They all heard it. As they looked closer, they saw 2 big eyes and the top of a head. The eyes were looking at them. "What are you?" cried Millie. "I didn't mean to give you a fright," said the object in the water, "but my friend needs help and I do not want to be seen by humans." "Who is your friend?" asked Monty. "Her name is Aggie and she is a cow. She lives in a field just along from here." "She is stuck in the fence," the object replied. Just then the cats could hear a loud mooing sound. Wow. Who are you? Asked Monty. I am Nessie. Have you heard of me? Came the reply. Why, yes, said Monty. I've heard a tale about a creature that lives in this loch. How amazing to meet you. Pleased to meet you too, said Nessie, pulling herself a little more to the surface and showing a big, friendly smile. I am going to swim to where Aggie's field is. Please follow me. You will see I am being truthful and you do not have to be scared. Well, they're on another adventure, aren't they? The 9 cats looked at each other and Monty said, let's follow the path around the loch. They came to Aggie's field and could see her horns locked in the fence. Oh, Nessie, have you brought help? A worried sounding Aggie cried when she saw her friend. Yes, replied Nessie, I met these cats. The cats walked round to let Aggie see them. Ah, thank you for coming. I have been a bit silly. I was busy eating my grass and saw some lovely long bits at the side of the fence, but forgot about my long horns and they got stuck. The cats could see that Aggie's horns were stuck between the spars of the fence. Can you help her to get free? Asked Nessie. Monty picked up a thick stick. Poppy, can you help me to lodge the stick between the gap in the fence? Maybe if we can get the wood to move a little bit, then Aggie can get herself free. Monty and Poppy did just that, and Aggie tried to pull. Nothing happened. Milo piped up, why don't we try someone at the front pushing and someone at the back pulling? Charlotte, Daisy, Molly and Milo got themselves ready at the front, and Monty, Poppy, Millie and Stella started to pull at the back. Tiger squealed, what is that behind you all? Suddenly a group of bright flying objects appeared around them. Hello, my fairy friends, exclaimed Nessie. It is so good to see you all again, especially at the moment. We have a bit of a problem here. Oh, it's lovely fairies flying around. Can you count how many there are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you point to them all? Nessie turned to the cats and said, these are my friends. Let me introduce you to them. The cats thought the fairies looked so magical. There were 2 boys with purple thistles attached to their shirts and 4 girls wearing beautiful, colourful, glimmering dresses with matching tartan and a thistle in their hair. One of the fairies stood with the cats behind Aggie. I can help you pull, he exclaimed. That would be good. I think we need all the help we can get, replied Monty. That fairy is called Whiff, said Nessie. That is an unusual name, replied Monty. Why are you called that? He asked Whiff. Whiff was pulling as hard as he could, and a little pop sound came from him. That's why, laughed Nessie. Everyone stopped what they were doing as they were laughing so hard. Sorry about that, said Whiff, and his cheeks went rosy red. Okay, said Nessie. You have met Whiff. Now meet the others. Nessie reeled off their names. Mari, Elsa, Alana, Catriona and Angus. Each fairy did a little spin as their names were called. The cats then introduced themselves to the fairies. Well, said Mari, carefully looking at the situation, I can easily get this sorted. The next thing they knew, there was a shower of glitter all around. When it cleared, Aggie was free. Oh, thank you so much, said Aggie. I was getting really worried there. What happened just now? Exclaimed Tiger. You just experienced our magical fairy dust, said Alana. You think of something good and ask for it to happen, and the magical dust does the rest for you, added Catriona. The cats were standing looking in awe and shock. We have always been able to do this, said Angus, seeing the look on the cats' faces. "Wow," said Charlotte, "that is incredible." Ailsa flew over with a ring of beautiful purple thistles. She placed them on Aggie's head. "There you go, Aggie," she said. "You are looking very bonny." "Oh, how kind," replied Aggie, giving a big smile and a happy moo. "Show the cats your game," said Nessie to the fairies. They watched on as the fairies arranged a string of daisies. "Hold this," said Ailsa, giving one end to Molly. "You hold this," said Angus, giving the other end to Poppy. "Now we want you to move your arms in a circle," added Catriona. The cats did this, and the fairies jumped and skipped through the daisy chain. The cats loved watching them. What fun! "Gather some thistle stems," said Mari to Monty and Milo. They did this and brought them back to Mari. She covered them in the glittering fairy dust. Once it cleared, it had all joined together. "There you go," said Catriona, "your own skipping rope." Daisy and Millie volunteered to take their turn, holding the ends to start with. "I want to skip first," exclaimed Tiger, and then ran into the rope. He was followed by Charlotte, Stella, and Poppy. "This is brilliant fun," laughed Tiger. After a while, everyone swapped around to let the other cats play as well. That's being fair, isn't it? "This is good too," called Angus. The cats looked round to find Angus and Ailsa on a seesaw made of a pebble and twig. "We have made a larger one for you over here," called Alana. The cats looked over and saw a larger one made from a small rock and a thin tree branch. Tiger was already running towards it. "Me first," he called. "Who is coming on with me?" he called again. "I will," replied Milo. Milo ran and jumped onto his side of the seesaw. The next thing, Tiger was catapulted into the air. "Is this supposed to happen?" yelled Tiger as he flew. They went down too hard, didn't they? And he flew up in the air. "No!" shouted Poppy, Molly and Daisy as they ran to catch him. Angus and Ailsa got there in a second and gently helped Tiger to the ground. "You are much bigger than Tiger," said Monty to Milo. "You made the seesaw unbalanced when you jumped on it." "I got a big fright," quivered Tiger. "I am really sorry," said Milo. "I didn't know that would happen." "Come on, Tiger," said Stella. "I will sit with you and that will even it all out." The cats all enjoyed taking turns on the seesaw after that. Do you enjoy the seesaw at the playground? Shall we carry on? After a short while, the cats could hear all their names being called. "We better head back," said Daisy. "It must be time to go." "It has been so wonderful to meet you all," said Nessie. "I can give you a quick sail across the loch with the help of my fairy friends, if you would like." "Yes," replied Ailsa. "We can sprinkle our fairy dust and make you all invisible as you head across." "We don't want anyone to see Nessie. They would be such a fuss if they did." The cats were delighted and excited to accept this offer, and Nessie waited on them, climbing on their back. "Cheerio," said Aggie, "and thank you for trying to help." The cats said goodbye, and Nessie started to sail across the loch under the cover of magical dust. The fairies came too, flying beside them all. When they got to the bank, they all slid down one by one onto the grass. They turned to wave to Nessie and the fairies. "We certainly didn't expect any of this to happen today, and it has been so lovely," said Charlotte. All the cats agreed. "Goodbye," said Nessie. "I have really enjoyed your company today." The fairies handed each cat a beautiful purple thistle to remind them of their time with them. The cats made their way back to their humans and turned to look at the loch one more time before leaving. The water was calm and the sun was gleaming across the surface. They saw an extra sparkle of glimmer in the distance and knew their new friends were giving them a wave goodbye. And there's a picture which I'm going to show you of Poppy, Charlotte, Milo, Molly, Tiger, Daisy, Millie, Stella and Monty.